The nullification crisis wasn't a specific event, but rather a period of time where tariffs were causing the country to divide. Andrew Jackson was elected president due to his factor of relatability to the common people. He was considered the everyman. He is also referred to as Old Hickory, because while on the battlefield his men said that he was as tough as Old Hickory wood, meaning that he was stubborn, and the name stuck. During the Battle of New Orleans, Jackson showed newfound leadership skills. This gave him the status of a wealthy businessman, and he earned respect from most everyone. Sadly, his popularity did not protect him from the scandals and resentment from others. Before getting elected, those who strongly supported Jackson were livid when John Quincy Adams won the presidential election of 1824. Jacksonians did most anything to ensure the election of their beloved everyman, including pushing proposals through Congress to raise tariffs. This led to the public believing that Adams was favoring his home region. As a result, Jackson was elected in 1828. President Jackson was known for his stubborn and blunt personality. His personality can be seen in his use of the veto. Many saw Jackson as a tyrannical leader who inflicted his will into law. Jackson vetoed the bank bill and many other political laws. Donald Cole, a historian of U.S. history, interpreted Andrew Jackson's presidency. Cole states that although Andrew Jackson was relatable to the common man and a war hero, his stubborn personality and rash decision-making could cause problems in his administrative policy. Cole's interpretation is fraught with irony. The main theme of Jackson's presidency is his painful adjustment to the economic revolution and the political party revolution. Although a common image of Old Hickory is one of determination and stubbornness, Cole suggests that Jackson was deeply ambivalent about the market revolution. His instincts lay the agrarian old Republican states' rights view, but he could not devise or implement policies that were totally consistent with the United States referred past. In fact, Jackson inadvertently contributed to the economic change through his banking, Indian, and administrative policies. As Cole describes, President Jackson, named Old Hickory, had a hard time adjusting to the economic revolution. This can be seen in the Tariff Bill of 1828.
This tariff passed, wreaking havoc on his presidency and earning the name the Tariff of Abominations. Once the tariff was set in place, the South began to complain and question its constitutionality. Other regions of America were booming, but the South's economy was stalling. A protective tariff was soon passed to protect the northern industry. The South gained nothing from either tariffs and therefore started rallying against it. This tariff was a protective tax on foreign imports that split the country between New England manufacturers who, without the tax on foreign goods sold in U.S. markets, could not compete with low-priced European imports, and Southern planters, who had to pay higher prices for finished products. This tax hurt Southerners in yet another way because countries such as Britain lessened their imports of Southern U.S. raw materials and cotton. Foreign countries did this in order to maintain a good balance of trade, and if they lessen their U.S. exports due to the protective taxes, they must also lessen their import from the U.S. The difference between the North and South is that the North benefited from less imports of foreign goods, while the South suffered from 1, higher local prices, and 2, fewer exports of raw materials to foreign countries. These geographic tensions led to the nullification crisis, when even the reduced tariff of 1832 it did not satisfy Southern states.
Nullification, deemed by South Carolina, stated that the tariffs of 1828 and 1832 were null and void under the sovereignty of an individual state. This ordinance went directly against the Supremacy Clause of the Constitution. President Jackson, known for his brash attitude and stubborn personality, issued the forced bill and said that he himself would hang the first perpetrator he saw. Some say that this statement was directed to John C. Calhoun. Calhoun greatly believed that the states should have the right to declare a federal law null and void. Calhoun was born in South Carolina, and often his opinions clashed with those of President Jackson. The Force Act modified the militia laws to authorize the president to use military force to protect the customs houses and to enforce the orders of federal courts if U.S. Marshals were incapable of doing so. Henry Clay proposed a compromise known as the Compromise of 1833. Henry Clay was a Southern lawmaker, Secretary of the House, and Secretary of State. Throughout his life, he helped preserve the Union before the Civil War. The Compromise of 1833 was one of his major compromises that prolonged the period before the war. This compromise entailed two parts. One, a reduction of the tariff of abominations over a 10-year period, and two, a renouncement of nullification ordinance. South Carolina will comply with this compromise. Some say that without such a compromise, the Civil War would have come much earlier.